Hey everybody, welcome back. It's Dr. Stephen Harrod again from the Technical University of Denmark. And today I have a little bit of an advanced lesson for you. I'm going to show you a product or a service, maybe is a better word, called Datafordeler from a company called Septima in Denmark. And it's a lot of fun. We're going to show you how to use this. If you're interested in data from the Danish government, data on the Danish countryside and environment and city development and properties, this is the thing for you. So let's get started. Let's get started here. We're going to be in QGIS 3.10. And I've got a fun set of examples to show you here with this plugin. And to get started, as I said, this is a little bit of an advanced lesson, so we're going to go a little bit quick here. So you may have to stop and back up the video if some of the things I'm showing you are new and you've never seen them before. So we want to install this. So go up into Not Installed and let's search for Datafordeler. There it is. Datafordeler. And there's going to be a lot of Danish language here. If you don't know Danish, might be a trick. But then again, if you don't know Danish, why are you so interested in Denmark? So let's install this. Here it comes. And we're done. We've got that installed. Now, this only works if you have an account with the Danish government website for data. So to do that, we need to go to this link right here. And you need to get this password. You need to get an account. You need to get 2 accounts actually. So let's go to this website. Let me pull this over into the screen so you can see what we are. This is the website. And what you need to do is you need to do 2 things. You need to create a web account. You need a web account. And then after you have the web account, you also need to create a service account. So you go here and you fill out this form and you create, you follow these instructions. You go to the self-service portal and you create a new account, and yes, you're going to do that. And you go and say yes, you're going to do that. And another, yeah, they really want your approval here. And set up these accounts, set up this information, your contact information. You get that account, and then you're going to have something that looks, after you've done that, you're going to have to get an email and approve that and agree to all these things. And then once you've got that, you can sign in to here, and I'm going to sign in now, and there's my secret account. Look out. And here we are. So now I'm into my account. And here's my user here. And if you want to have a service, you have to click on this plus sign and say, okay, I want a new service. And I'm gonna set up a service. And it says, hey, you got one. And then you come down here and you give it a password and do some stuff. But I'm not going to do that because I've already got one. So I think I'm going to shut it down, actually. I'm going to skip that and go back to my old account, which is this one right here. And I'll use that in the demo. So let me move these things off the screen here and get back to the database here. So we have this plugin running, and you have a dialog here. Now this will not work until you set in your. I've already got my username and password in here, so we need to do that. Let me show you where you do that. settings, options, and then, oops, it's kind of not showing up in the screen. Let me squeeze that a little bit so it fits in the screen. And all the way down here at Datafordeler, and then you got to put in your username and your password, and you got to save that. And once you've done that, then this will have all of these choices here. We'll have all these now. You have a lot of choices, simple stuff and more complicated stuff. But here's a nice example. So you can, you know, probably most of you, I do, use the OpenStreetMap like this, and you get OpenStreetMap like that, and you get a nice map, and you use that frequently. But you can also get a nice background map from the Datafordeler. So here we go. We got this map, and we can get different colors. We get a lighter resolution map, and we can get very light, just gray, just a gray background map. But I'm not going to use any of those right now, so I'm just going to take all those away. Let's forget about that. Let's get rid of that. And yes, and get rid of that. And yes, and get rid of that. And yes. And just for fun, I want to demo a few features here. So some fun information. For example, hey, are you curious where the postal zip codes are, where the postal codes are in Denmark? So let's try that. And boom, there are the postal codes. Now it's a little bit, that's not exactly very useful to us right now. Let's adjust that a little bit. So let's go in here, let's edit the styles, and I don't know, let's do something different. How about, you know, you could make this lightly transparent like that. That's one option. It's not really that useful. Let's try something else. How about, oh yeah, I like that one. Let's do that. So now you have a dark outline of where the postal zip codes are. Oh, but we can do something more. Let's add the postal numbers. Let's add some labels with the postal numbers. So single label, and let's use the, go all the way down here. Let's use the post number. And I think everything else is fine just the way it is. Let's do that. And okay. And wait a minute, just takes a minute to kind of process. Yep, there we go. Here it comes. So now we have the postal numbers. So you can zoom in here a little bit. Look at that. So now we got the postal numbers for Denmark. That's just kind of fun. Let's turn that off. Let's try something else. I'll just take that away. What else we got here? We got, I'm going to come back to that. We have all kinds of functions here. We can put in the railways. Here are all the railways. And it's actually quite detailed. It doesn't look that right now, but if you go in really tight, it is actually quite detailed. So we have a quite detailed railway map here. So that's kind of nice. But I'm going to turn that off. That's not really what we're doing today. Let's turn that off. And let's back out a little bit. And we can, another example, you just go through there's lots of things in here. But how about the railway stations? Let's see, how about this one? And so there are the railway stations. There are the railway stations. Symbol's a little bit on the big side. Let's see if we can adjust that a little bit. A little bit big. A little bit big. Maybe we can, oh, here we go. Let's make that, see if we can make that smaller. It's a little bit too much. A little bit too much. Kind of overpowering everything. That's better. That's better. A little too much. That's better. Much better. But let me show you something else. And this is really the heart of our activity today. So you've got some nice data here. One of the nice pieces of data that's really interesting out of this service is the buildings in Denmark. All of the buildings. So let's go buildings. And there's a lot of data here, so you got to wait for this to process. Do not give up. It could be a long time, depending on your internet connection and the speed of your computer. All right, so now we have the buildings here in Denmark. Look at that. These are all the houses and all the buildings, and there's quite a lot of data here. And I'm going to just give you an example. You can just click on one of these buildings, and you can see some stored data that came down from Datafordeler, and you've got some derived data. This is data that was calculated from the shapes on your map. But we have the area of the building right here. And so what I want to show you is a neat little exercise. Now, this may not be the most efficient way to do this. I'm sure there's some clever person out there who's got a better way to do this, or maybe you even know how to write your own code in Python or something. And I'd be happy to hear from you if you want to send me a little message with some tips and tricks. But let me show you how I did this just using the user interface, the graphical tools here in QGIS, and show you how I did it. So I'm curious to know how much built up structure there is within a reasonable walking distance of the railway stations. I'm trying to estimate how much coverage the railway stations have in terms of their market. And a typical number for this in many applications is 600 meters. We want 600 meters out of the train station. So let me show you what we're going to do here. I need to have some buffers around the train station. So let's do that. Let's do that. Here's the train station, and let's create a buffer around the train stations of 600 meters. It's going to take a little time here for this to calculate. Here we go. And let's do 600 meters around the train stations. Yeah. And here we go, and it's done. And zoom out a little bit and see what we've accomplished here. Okay, there we go. So now we have a 600 meter buffer around the train station. And I want to edit this just a little bit too dark. Let's lighten it up a little bit. Okay, well maybe that was too much. Let's see what else we can do. Fill. Let's make the line a little thicker. Yeah, that's perfect. Okay, so now we have this buffer, and I would like to calculate the total area. Oh, that's what happens when you got so much going on there. I'd like to calculate how much area of building there is within this 600 meter zone around the train station. And I don't know, this may be a little bit of a challenge here. Maybe I need to back off a little bit. Let's click on that. Maybe that'll stop that from happening. And so I want to do that. So the first thing I need to do is and the reason I want to do that is because I think the amount of buildings that are in the zone around the train station is a proxy. It's a reference for how much transport traffic I can get at that railway station. So I'm going to turn a couple of things. Maybe this will stop it from recalculating so much. And I'll turn this off, stop that from recalculating so much. And first I need to get the centroids of these buildings. I need to get the centroids of these buildings. So let's do that. Geoprocessing, no, geometry, centroids. And yes, that's pretty straightforward. Let's run that. Could take a while. A little bit of data there. A little bit of data. I suppose I could make this run faster if I took the time to select and filter out only the part of this layer that's in Shaolin. That might speed this up a little bit. All right, that took a little bit longer than I hoped. I clipped some of that out in the video, so you didn't have to sit through it. But it took a little. It was a comfortable long pause. That was definitely 52 seconds. That was definitely a coffee machine break right there. So these are the centroids of all those buildings, and now I need to calculate for all these buildings. Now for each one of these buildings here, I'm going to turn that off for a minute, and let's zoom in a little bit here, get a little closer view. For each one of those buildings, as I showed you a minute ago, there's a lot of data, but I need to get this data on the area as a permanent piece of data in the data table, not a temporary piece of data. So let's, that window is scooted over a little bit there. Let me just adjust this, get this back into the screen where I want it. Sorry about that. This is better. There we go. I'm gonna move that around, scoot that down, there we go. And now I'm gonna close that. So we need to get these areas. So here's how we do this. I want to go into vector, and I want to add a geometry attribute to this. And I just say go, run this. All right, got that done. And what is this done? It's created a duplicate layer, so I can turn this one off. It's created a duplicate layer with the original information in the layer, but now we have, I keep losing my right hand side of the screen here. I'm going to scoot this over. So I know I'm getting it out of the recording part of the screen here. It's going to add right down here. Here we go. So this is the area of that building. Now it's not perfect. I really wish, and maybe someone could write me a message and tell me how I could do this. I wish I could get the actual BBR registered area of the building, because that would give me the extra area from multiple floors. So I'm only getting the ground floor area. I'm not getting the area of the first floor, the second floor, any additional floors above. But anyway, this is good enough for our demo right here. So we got the area of this building, and I've got that there. Now I need to get that into the centroid. So if we look at the attribute table here, there is an identification number. This one right here is good enough, I think. ID, local ID, that is a unique ID for this building. So if I go to the centroid and look at its properties, I can join some data in here, and I can go join, and I can say, okay, join layer, and it's from this added geometric field, and I want to join on the local ID, and I want to match on the local. These two are going to match. Local going to match on these fields, and then I'm done. I think. Oh, here we go. And I want to select the area. I want to get the area. So I say I'm going to join these fields. I'm going to get the area. And that's okay. And that's okay. And that's done. And now if I look at this attribute table and look all the way over, and now I've got the area right here that I've added. So not quite done yet. So now we have those points. Now I can turn this off. Now I have points that represent each building and the area of that building. Now let's turn the buffers back on and let's zoom out. So now we have all the train stations. See, there's a train station, there's a train. Let's scoot this around a little bit so that you can see, I think, yeah, no, that's good. This should work. So you've got all the train stations. Well, maybe you can't quite see this one. Let's scoot things around in the layers here. There, now you can see it better. So now we have the train stations, and we have all these points that represent buildings in the 600-meter zone around the train station. So now what we want to do is sum up. We want to add up all of those buildings that are inside the zone around the train station, the upland in Danish. And you may have seen another video I did called Buffers and Counting Points in QGIS. And so this is very similar to that, but we're going to do a little trick here. We're going to do a little trick. So let's try this. So now we want to use the buffered. This is the buffers. This was the buffers around the train stations. And we're going to sum up the centroids. But now we're not just going to count them. We're going to weight them, and we're going to weight them by the area. So here's that area that we calculated. So now it's not really going to be a count. It's actually going to be a sum of the areas. So sum area is what we're going to get after this. So let's run that. And surprisingly fast, considering the enormous amount of data that we're going to run through here. And we're done. All right. We'll close that. And if you recall from the other video, of course, once again, we have yet another shape. So I'm going to turn that off and move this around down here like that. And so there we go. A little hard to see. The colors are all kind of together, but if I go on this and take this information pointer and then check and take a little peek here, and now I need to scoot things over so you can see it in the screen. It's so annoying. It keeps wanting to slip off the edge of the screen over there. Sum of the area. This is the sum of the area in that buffer. Now, those of you watching this from outside of Europe, this is not 202.039. This is 202,000.039, because the areas, you may recall, the areas we were looking at, they were using a comma as the decimal point. And now when this software has calculated the sum, the decimal is now a thousands marker. So in this 600-meter circle in Lillerull in Denmark, Allerød, the total building area in that 600-meter circle is 202,000 square meters. So, and let's try another one. Let's go up here, and this one is a lot less. And you can see it's only 244. And if we zoom in and take a really close look here, it's only 3 buildings. And if we look at the buildings themselves, we have one building with 37 meters, and one building with, is that 2 buildings or 1? Let me try this again. 1 building. Okay, yeah, there we go. That's better. And a building with 97 and a building with 28. So let's mentally add that up. 28, 37, 97. Close enough. Yeah, 90. I'm trying to add that up in my head. Maybe a little bit off. I might be missing something. There might be something I'm not quite seeing. 37. 97, so it's 100, almost 137, and 28, 137 and 28. We're a little bit low there. Maybe there's something I'm not seeing in here. Could be there's, oh, look at that. There's another building hiding right under there. So it's right. It's just I can't get to it. The detail, it's so small. There's actually 2 buildings right there. So there's more. It is 244. So never accept the answer until you really check the results. But I think these results are correct. So you can see here how this works. So we now have, for all the railway stations, we have a sum of the areas of the buildings within the buffer zone of those stations. So I think that, hope that you enjoyed that. I think that's a fun example of some of the things you can do with this data from the Danish authorities. And I hope you find it useful, and look forward to your comments. Look forward to hearing from you about your ideas about what we can do better with this plugin. Thank you so much. Stephen Herod from the Technical University of Denmark. Look forward to talking to you again. Bye-bye.